Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the craziest and most creepy secrets about Franklin and Lamar Davis's past in Grand Theft Auto 5. That's right, these two characters were one of the most highly requested that I saw in the comments section in my video the other day, and I've already made a few videos about Franklin touching on some of the photos that can be seen inside of his house, as well as his relationship with CJ from San Andreas, but I've never actually talked about their past and some of the creepy details of their upbringing and how they were made and then presented at the start of Grand Theft Auto 5. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about with these two characters today. The reason we're combining them is their paths cross so often, so I figured it would make sense to include them in the same video. As always, if you like stuff like this, be sure to drop it a like and let me know what you think in the comment section down below, as well as a character that I should cover in the future. That would be awesome, but let's not waste any more time and let's get it started. So let's get it started and let's talk about Franklin's life before the game and how he started in Grand Theft Auto 5. So I think this was made pretty obvious in the game, but Franklin never knew his father. We obviously don't see him in the game. We know that he lives with his Aunt Denise. Something else you might not know is his mother became addicted to cocaine when Franklin was still very young. And as a child, Franklin often heard stories about how his father was physically abusive towards his mother, possibly even further causing her cocaine addiction. Now, Franklin's father left his mother while she was pregnant with him, Franklin, and his mother's addiction eventually led to her death when Franklin was a young boy. So Franklin definitely did not have the best upbringing. Obviously, an abusive father, one that left him. His mother was doing illegal drugs, and obviously that led to her death. And that would be just a horrible situation for anyone to go through. Now, after his mother died, Franklin moved in with his grandparents. Now, we actually don't see Franklin's grandparents in game, and despite living with them and being in a good environment, Franklin decided to take on the role of a street hustler. In fact, his first job, and I guess his first criminal activity, was selling cigarettes with one of his friends, J.B. Bradshaw. Now, he did this up until his grandparents passed away, and they left him with his aunt Denise Clinton, and that's where he lives currently when you start GTA 5. Now, something pretty funny, and this is actually where Franklin met Lamar. They actually attended the same high school. So Franklin attended Davis High School, but was expelled for assaulting a teacher. So Franklin hasn't graduated high school. He obviously didn't get his high school degree, and at this time, this is when he began the life of becoming a gangbanger and a dope dealer, and started doing various petty crimes around the city, including his first bank robbery, which he stole $2,000 but didn't get to keep any of the money because a dye pack spilled onto the money, essentially ruining it and making it so that he couldn't spend it anywhere. Now, something else you might not have known about is that Franklin went to jail before the game of Grand Theft Auto even started. So in 2008, which is 5 years before Grand Theft Auto 5 starts, he was arrested and sent to prison. And after his release, he decided to give up his gang life and get to some proper work. And I think this is where we see Franklin trying to work with Simeon, repossessing cars. Now, something very interesting you might not know about Franklin regarding himself, Lamar, and his Aunt Denise can actually be found on the in-game website Psychic Shoutout. Now, if you go to this website, you'll speak with a lady on the website. Her name is Miss Marcy, and she basically tells fortunes and the futures, and she tells Franklin that she sees Lamar in her visions having sex on Franklin's bed. Now, this is a possible hint that Lamar actually had an affair with his Aunt Denise Clinton. Obviously, Lamar in the game makes various positive comments about her appearance, always giving her compliments, saying how she looks so good. And another reference on this matter could be during the mission Hood Safari, when Lamar is actually seen exiting Franklin's house with her. So Franklin's not even in his house, and Lamar is coming out of the house with her. So could that indicate that Lamar is actually having an affair with Franklin's aunt? It honestly wouldn't put it past me, because Lamar is one of the craziest characters of all time. I don't think he has any bounds. I don't think he has any restraint. So it honestly wouldn't surprise me to see him do something like this. Now, you obviously know by now that Franklin is the only protagonist in Grand Theft Auto who can survive all three endings. And I'm not going to harp on this for too long, because I've already made a full dedicated video to this, so I'll leave a link in the description. But it turns out that there might have been a secret ending where Franklin was supposed to die and be replaced by Lamar. According to Slink Johnson, who's Lamar's voice actor and motion capture actor, Franklin was supposed to be killed in the third way, with Lamar replacing him as a playable protagonist, but apparently this idea was dropped during development and also due to Slink Johnson getting in trouble with the law. Once again, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail in this video just because I've made a full dedicated video to that, which I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. But just as kind of an interesting tidbit, maybe Franklin wasn't supposed to live, because it does seem odd that he was the only protagonist that you didn't have an option to kill off by the end of the game. So now let's move on to Lamar Davis. We know he's the crazy friend of Franklin Clinton. They met in high school, as I described earlier. Now, according to both Lamar and Franklin, one of the most interesting things about him is that he is of Apache descent. And he seems to be very proud of it as well, as in the mission Repossession, he says, "That's the Apache blood in me." Now, if you don't know what the Apache are, they're a Native American tribe. They're mostly in the southwestern United States and Mexico. So I'm guessing that's Lamar referring to the fact that he's got like Indian blood in him or something like that. I thought that was really interesting. But if that is actually true, that is pretty crazy and may describe why Lamar, I don't know, does so many crazy things in game. I just thought that was an interesting fact right there. Something else that's very interesting about Lamar is he's one of the few characters in the game that can actually make a reference to one of the protagonist's special abilities. So the special abilities are Franklin, obviously, with the slow down time, Michael with like the slow down of the bullets and whatnot. Trevor obviously goes on his rampage. So during the car chase in the mission Chop, Lamar will say to Franklin, use that special driving thing that he does, and also claims that Franklin looks funny while he is doing so. Now, he's obviously referring to, like I said, Franklin slowing down time while he's driving, and this in and of itself is actually a reference to another Rockstar game, Midnight Club, where the players actually had the ability to do relatively the same thing, slow down time so they could get a better handle while driving in their vehicles. Now, something else you might have noticed even during the gameplay that you're watching right now is during cutscenes, Lamar is noticeably taller than Franklin, but upon transitioning back to gameplay, it appears that Lamar is slightly smaller than Franklin, and it's unknown why this happens. In fact, Lamar's height is often mentioned by the other characters, Franklin even shouting, "Where the tall dude at?" during the firefight in Lamar Down. So they often refer to Lamar being very tall, and in cutscenes that's true, but in the game and in free mode, it looks as if Franklin is the same height or even taller than Lamar. I don't know if this is Rockstar trying to make the main characters look a little bit more prevalent or as on equal level to one of the side characters. I'm really not too sure, but I just thought that was extremely interesting, and that's something I didn't even notice, which is so cool. Now, this next bit of information I thought was really weird, and it's something I hadn't even thought of. So it was revealed by IGN. Franklin doesn't even own Chop. Lamar does. Now, it was previously believed that Chop was Franklin's dog, and even after the 5th mission of the game called Chop, Chop moves to Franklin's house because of troubles Lamar has gotten into. And even in some cutscenes Lamar is seen with Chop, even after he moves in with Franklin's house, indicating that Lamar still has free access to the dog. However, I still didn't know that it wasn't Franklin's dog. I just always assumed it to be with Franklin. So Chop actually does belong to Lamar, which is something that I thought was definitely very interesting. And finally, last but not least, the two characters we're talking about today, Lamar and Franklin, have many similar character traits to two main characters in GTA San Andreas. So Lamar has many traits similar to Sweet Johnson. Both are loyal members of the family's gang. Both of them never plan to move out of their respected neighborhoods. Lamar is always talking about how he's never leaving the streets, and he's always wants to do what he's doing right now. And they're both constantly criticizing and accusing the protagonist of selling out and leaving them in their neighborhood behind, which of course in GTA 5 would be Franklin, and in GTA San Andreas would be Carl Johnson. And Franklin obviously shares many similarities with Carl Johnson or CJ from GTA San Andreas. They're both young men. They currently live in Los Santos. They're very calm, interested in making money, rising to the top of the criminal underworld. And obviously, and as I've explained in other videos, by another coincidence, Franklin and CJ, their voice actors, are cousins, which is Solo and then Young Melee. So I thought that was pretty funny. So that is a very interesting fact about them, but you probably already knew that by now. But anyways, those are some of the dark and creepy secrets of the past of both Franklin and Lamar, some of the more interesting things you might not have known about them, and kind of how their upbringing led to how they act in GTA 5 and in present day Grand Theft Auto. So let me know what you think about this video in the comments section down below. Hopefully you found it very interesting. If you learned one new thing or interesting fact about Franklin or Lamar, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below and by leaving a like rating on the video. That would be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. Without the way, guys, like I said, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.